Mannion has landed. Johnny Mac, how you doing on this Football Friday?
Yeah, it's jarring when you say no play calling experience. That's all anybody was talking about. Got to get experience. Got to get experience. And then they take the least experienced guy humanly possible.
Yeah, he makes Kevin Patullo look like he's very experienced, doesn't he?
Yeah, interesting choice. I think with time to think about it, I think it was striking how much the Eagles branded this as a Nick Sirianni decision, because as we know, the narrative out there is that Howie makes these decisions, which isn't true, as I've tried to explain, and obviously Jeffrey has to approve it. I mean, that's part of it, but striking with the long statement how much they branded it as a Nick Sirianni hire. And I do get a little end of Chip Kelly feel here of like, all right, we're going to put it all on you, Nick Sirianni. And if you can get it done, great. If you can't get it done, I think this is it. I think this is the decision that will basically decide whether Nick Sirianni is going to be here in 2027, or even make it to the end of 2026. I think the clock has officially started.
Wow, that is the J-Mac first takeaway on the new. And that, actually, I agree with you. I mean, they clearly did put it at the feet of Nick Sirianni. But, John, let's give the people a little bit of an update real quick, or just a background on Shawn Mannion. Shawn Mannion's 33 years old. I'll say that again. He's 33 years old. He was drafted in 2015. All right. He has been a coach in the NFL. No play calling experience at any level. He has been a coach for just 2 years. He was hired as an offensive assistant a couple years ago, elevated to a quarterback coach in Green Bay. Now, I will say, Jordan Love, I thought, had one of his best years this year for when he was on the field. Malik Willis played well, in relief when Malik Willis went down. So the Packers quarterbacks had a pretty good year this year. But Shawn Mannion doesn't have any play calling experience, which many people, John, will hang their hat on, and that's a part of it. But, John, something we talked about was, boy, I hope they don't just, go a certain way to avoid the backlash, and they certainly didn't do that here. There's plenty of backlash to come with this hire. And, in the face of maybe placating to it, it doesn't appear that they did. We'll find out if they're right.
Yeah, I mean, to a certain extent, outside of two names, because they got out there of what the Eagles' original intent was, and that's Mike McDaniel, Brian Daboll, and even Brian Daboll. I think Mike McDaniel's the only one who could have come in with little backlash, and I don't even understand that, by the way. But even if you at this stage of the game, I don't know where you could have went and not have certain criticism. We talked a lot about Matt Nagy over recent days. That's where I would have went, because I prefer a little bit more experience. They would have got a ton of shit for hiring Matt Nagy. He's a retread. He didn't do this. He didn't do that.
They might have gotten more shit for that.
Exactly. So, yeah, I mean, that part of it, I think, evaporated once the perceived top two left the equation. But I'm not going to lie. I'm stunned. They hired Shawn Mannion with 2 years experience to be an offensive coordinator. It's just not done. Not to say it can't work, because I do think there's a lot of closed-minded people in the NFL, a lot of closed-minded people in general. And that's, the Eagles pride themselves on that. So maybe it'd be out of the box, forward thinking. So maybe it shouldn't be as big a surprise from them being the ones to do it. But I mean, yeah, this is wrought with obvious potholes and potential easy, low-hanging criticism for the obvious reasons, just because this is not done. This is typically not done. You said no play calling experience at any level. He's got no experience at any level. He had an entry-level coaching job coming straight off the field, and then he's a quarterback's coach the next year, and then he's an offensive coordinator. If it's happened before, I can't remember it. Like I talked all the time. Think about Josh McCown. He's still not an offensive coordinator. I kind of advocate, well, if there's one guy who could probably do it, it was Josh, because I don't know, he quarterbacked for 17 years and about every offensive scheme you could potentially be involved with. Just extremely smart, extremely personable, connects with people, checked every box, and he's still not an offensive coordinator. Yeah, he's only been coaching a short time, but this is like, wow. I mean, think about the offensive coaches on this team.
I know.
How long Jeff Stoutland's been around? How long Jason Michael's been an offensive coordinator in the past? Jamal Singleton. Think about how long they've been coaching.
So your takeaway after a night, and I don't want to speak for you, but you believe that this is really now focused in on Nick Sirianni. I agree with you now that you're saying it to me. I mean, this has really become Nick Sirianni's boomer bust hire, and he's either gonna sink or he's gonna swim, and it's gonna look really good.
Yeah, I mean, the Eagles released the statement. They've been, if you go back to the press conference, and really go back years, even when people perceived that Kellen Moore and Vic Fangio were Howie hirings, he made it clear that to say that Nick is in charge of the coaching staff. For whatever reason, people don't believe it. Well, you can believe it on this one. Now, again, Jeffrey Lurie can step in and stop it. He could have said, "No, we're not going to do this." But other than that, and obviously he allowed them and he approved the move. And I'm not saying this is not a sharp guy and a smart guy, because everybody talks about him like he's a future head coach and raves about him. But I mean, if anybody can point somebody out there that has advanced this quickly, please, because I want to know, because I'm looking.
But it does look like, it does look like what you said. I mean, that might be true, but it does appear that they let Nick, put it all on him. And if they fail again, it's going to make the off ramp for Nick much easier when you're coming off of a Super Bowl. Right now the optics were not good if the organization wanted to move on from Nick Sirianni, less than a year after they won a Super Bowl. Now, if your offense falls flat again and they put it all on Nick Sirianni, that sale to the fan base is going to be much easier. Hey, we failed again, and Nick Sirianni hired this guy, So I don't know. That's what it looks like to me. It's like Nick Sirianni's about to sink, or he's about to
sink. They definitely. I mean, this is a branded Nick Sirianni hire.
Oh, from start to finish. I mean, remember the initial thing they put out too was from Nick Sirianni about Kevin Petula, which I thought was interesting.
Yep. So, yeah, the more and more I think about it, it's straight. I get that Chip Kelly feel of like, who knows what's going on behind the scenes, but maybe there was a pushback that, like, I won a Super Bowl, blah, blah, blah. Give me my coaches. And, maybe Jeffrey did what he did and said, all right, let's see if he can do it.
Well, do you think Nick will have a better opportunity to be, or do you think Nick will be successful as opposed to what Chip Kelly ultimately ended up? I mean, I think.
As of right now, Shawn Mannion is going to call the plays. I mean, I think it would be relatively easy for Nick to take that over at some point. But I mean, he has been. I wish he's said it in public a number of times, but he's been very, very consistent that he does not want to call plays. He thinks it impacts the other abilities or during game day to be the head coach. Now, he's been very consistent with that. And right now that's the plan for Shawn to call plays. Now, again, most of that work is done during the week. It will be heavily influenced by Nick Sirianni. You know, the old, the menu's there for you. Just pick off the menu.
Yeah, well, I mean, he is the head coach of the team. I know everybody in a pie in the sky
Well,
world
exactly.